Hi, good morning everyone. So nice to have you here at the Union County Heritage Museum. Today, y'all will be making Christmas tree ornaments, but not for your inside tree, actually for the birds. For this tree right here, this is actually a dogwood tree. Really, really beautiful tree. Birds love them, and your ornaments are going to be helping to feed the birds that stop by and say hello, which is a really wonderful thing to do. There are some birds that don't migrate. Some birds do, some birds don't. A lot of birds in this area, like cardinals, like eastern bluebirds, you've got northern mockingbirds, you've got a ton of birds just hanging out during the winter. They're hungry, they're cold, and they really need food in order to give them energy in order to make it through the winter. So bird seed ornaments, bird just plain old feeders, those are going to be really excellent for your backyard bird friends. The other things that you can do if you really like your birds is you can put out a little bird bath, make sure it doesn't freeze. You can also, this is going to be a bit controversial, but you can keep your cat indoors. Cats and birds, just like the cartoons, they don't exactly cohabitate well. Other things that you can do is you can leave all your leaves on the ground. All the little bugs that they like to eat during the winter to give them energy to make it through. These leaves are homes and resting spots and hiding places, and that's where all of them live. So you can leave the leaves on the ground. You can also plant native plants. Native plants are wonderful because they have the seeds that all these birds have grown up with out in the wild. So as our suburban areas get bigger and we're planting more lawns and maybe more just like flower beds, then we're eliminating those places that birds can stop to eat food as they're flying around and doing all sorts of things. So you can plant native plants that have all these wonderful seeds that birds can actually eat on during the winter. I don't know if I mentioned this, but northern cardinals, if you see a bright red bird flying around, you can be absolutely sure that that is a northern cardinal. And what's cool about them is they're here all winter. They're really bright, so you can see them just about anywhere you go, any backyard. They really don't mind people too much. And so you're gonna find them in a backyard, you're gonna find them just in town hanging out. And they also, just like eastern bluebirds, they actually come in pairs, which is really kind of cute in my opinion. You will have the male, who is like really, really, really bright red, as in a cherry, like a cartoon version of a cherry, that color. And then the female, she'll look really similar, but she'll almost look like she rolled in dirt a little bit. She'll be kind of dusty, kind of brown looking, but that's just her feathers. That's just the way that she looks. And then you'll have eastern bluebirds who are sort of similar. You have the male, and he'll be bright blue with a bright orange chest, and then the female will be a little bit lighter, and she'll just look like she rolled in dirt just a little bit. A lot of other birds that you'll see around, I haven't noticed any others that go in pairs personally, but you'll have mockingbirds. Goodness, those are literally everywhere. If you see a really obnoxious gray bird trying to fight with another bird, I would bet you it's probably a northern mockingbird. And those are just about everywhere. You'll see them all during the winter. You'll also hear Carolina chickadees, which is going to be really easy for you to remember because their name is just exactly the way that they sound. They just say chickadee dee dee. That's all they do. That's all they say. And those are Carolina chickadees. And another great way to ID birds, you may not be able to see them because they're really well camouflaged, unfortunately for us who want to just look at them because they're cool. They're really well camouflaged, but you can listen for them because they each have a unique song that they will sing. They'll sing it to alert their friends of something nearby or a food source, or in the summer they're actually looking for a lady friend, so they'll be calling for a lady friend. I've heard some people say that in the winter the guy birds are actually practicing their call for the spring, getting ready for the spring when they're going to be flirting with all the ladies, but you can listen for their call. That's my favorite way to listen for and ID birds and figure out what's around me. It's just to listen to them. And you can learn. It's really easy to learn if you go online. There's tons of videos that you can watch. There's even apps that you can get, like the Merlin app is my personal favorite. It even has a recording button that you just push record and you try to get as close to the bird as possible, and it'll tell you what's singing to the best of its opinion. And it's fairly accurate, I found. It does a really, really good job. But those are other ways that you can ID the really cool birds that are going to be coming back to your yard, to your ornaments. Either on this tree, if you come back after your ornaments are up, come back to the museum, or at your own house in your own backyard.
I have a question. Can you tell me where the birds go during the day and during the night during winter when they seem to be hiding?
So, not nests. Nests are basically just for laying eggs and having little babies and feeding them. So they're finding branches to hang on that they feel safe on, because they're out in the open. It can be pretty dangerous to be a bird. There's hawks around. There's other creatures that wanna eat them. So they'll just find a nice little safe spot and huddle up and try to just make it through.
And so what we are going to be making for them is birdseed and peanut butter ornaments today. What do they normally eat just out in the wild without us helping them along?
Without the birdseed peanut butter ornaments that you guys are going to make, which are fantastic, by the way, because they're going to be really high in fat, which is what birds need for the winter, fat, so they can blubber up and make it through. But if they didn't have your peanut butter ornaments, they would be eating as much as they could find, honestly. There's not a whole lot of options. A lot of bugs are laying low, they're hibernating. There's some still about and they'll eat those, but they're eating a lot of the seeds that come from native plants and grasses and berries. That's what's so cool about some of these native plants is they bloom and they seed later in the year, and so they're providing all this food for birds in the winter time. But it's mostly that. It's mostly berries, it's mostly seeds and those sorts of things, since the abundance of bugs is really low.
So when we do see them digging around in the leaves and in the ground, what are they doing?
So when they're digging around in the leaves and things, they are still looking for bugs. There may not be as many, but they're looking for grubs, they're looking for little worms, they're looking for, maybe the little bugs that are hibernating down in the leaves, excuse me. They're looking for those sorts of things, or maybe berries or nuts or seeds that have fallen or blown onto the ground. They're scavenging for those.
Well, tell us one last thing that we can do to help be protective of the birds that live in our backyards.
Ooh, one more thing that you can do for birds. This is actually a really easy one, and it'll actually help you save money, is you can turn your lights off at night, or especially between 11 p.m. and 6 a.m. Set them on a timer or just do it manually. But if you turn those lights off, it's less confusing for birds and for bugs. They don't know what the lights are. It's confusing. It might be it's even attracting them to the area, and they might run into windows, or they might get hit or run over by cars. That happens a lot. But in your backyard, you can just turn those lights off. Keep it all dark, let them sleep, let them do their thing. It'll save you money in the process. So one last thing, just thank you, boys and girls and adults, for taking an interest in your backyard birds. And if you'd like to do something in your own backyard and not just here at the museum, then come to Camp Creek Native Plants, and we can hook you up with all sorts of native plants to support the birds right in your backyard. So you don't have to come to the museum, even though I hope that you do. You don't have to come here to see birds. You can go to your own backyard, and you can watch them feasting on your plants and on your greens. All right, thank you so much, and I hope you guys have fun today.